Story 1. The Last Patient on the Night Shift. Night shifts teach you things day shifts never will. You learn how a building sounds when it's mostly empty. You learn which noises are normal and which ones don't belong. You learn how your own thoughts can get louder when everyone else is asleep. And if you work nights long enough, you learn something else too. There are moments when you are absolutely certain that you are not alone. I worked the night shift at a small regional hospital in northern Pennsylvania for nearly 3 years. It wasn't a big place, just 4 floors, an emergency room, and a long-term care wing that stayed half empty most of the time. I was a certified nursing assistant. My job on nights was simple: check vitals, respond to call buttons, restock supplies, and make sure patients didn't wander where they shouldn't. Most nights were boring. That's what people don't understand about night shift horror stories. They don't start with screams. They start with silence. The hospital had a rule that everyone on nights knew but never officially acknowledged. After 2 a.m., don't go to the 4th floor alone. The 4th floor used to be a long-term care unit. Most of it had been shut down after budget cuts. Only 6 rooms were still in use, all on the east wing. The west wing was dark, locked, and technically out of service. Technically. On my first few months working nights, I thought the warnings were just hazing, old staff trying to mess with new hires. But the longer I worked there, the more I noticed something strange. After 2 a.m., call lights would activate in the west wing. Rooms that were empty, rooms with no beds, rooms that weren't even supposed to have power. Maintenance blamed wiring issues. Administration blamed software glitches. Nobody wanted to dig deeper. I stopped questioning it the night I answered one. It was a Tuesday, around 2:17 a.m. I was charting at the nurses' station when I saw it. 417, call light active. My stomach tightened immediately. 417 was deep in the west wing. "You see that?" I asked Linda, the charge nurse. She didn't even look up from her computer. "Probably another glitch. It's been on for a minute." Linda sighed. "Then go reset it." "I thought we weren't—" "Just reset it," she said, irritated. "I'm drowning in paperwork." I grabbed my flashlight. The overhead lights in the west wing were motion-activated and unreliable. As soon as I pushed through the double doors, the air changed. It was colder. Not hospital cold, basement cold. The smell was wrong, too. Old antiseptic, dust, and something faintly metallic. My footsteps echoed down the hallway. The farther I walked, the quieter everything became. No machines, no distant beeping, just the hum of the building settling. 417 was at the very end. The call light above the door was glowing softly. I knocked. No answer. I opened the door. The room was empty. No bed, no equipment, just a single chair against the wall and a call button dangling from where a bed used to be. I stepped inside and pressed the reset button. Nothing happened. The call light stayed on. Then I heard it. Breathing. Slow, shallow, right behind me. I spun around, heart slamming into my ribs. The room was still empty, but the breathing didn't stop. It was coming from the bathroom. The door was open just a crack. "Hello?" I called, my voice barely above a whisper. The breathing hitched, like whoever it was had realized I noticed. I should have left. I know that now. Instead, I pushed the bathroom door open. There was no one inside, but the mirror was fogged. Not completely, just one spot, right at face height, like someone had been standing there moments earlier. As I backed out of the room, the call light finally shut off. I didn't tell anyone what happened. I wish that was the end of it. It wasn't.
Over the next few weeks, things escalated. Patients started complaining about someone coming into their rooms at night. An old man in 402 grabbed my wrist during vitals and whispered, "She stands at the foot of my bed and counts my breaths." A woman in 409 refused to sleep unless the light was on. "He keeps asking me if I'm ready." Ready for what? No one ever remembered these conversations in the morning. The call lights kept coming, always after 2 a.m., always from the West Wing. Then came the night of the code. It was 3:41 when the alarm went off in 412. We ran, expecting cardiac arrest, but when we arrived, the patient was already gone. Not dead, gone. The bed was empty, sheets still warm. The bathroom light was on. The call button lay on the floor, its cord stretched impossibly far, snaking across the room and disappearing into the bathroom drain. Security footage from that night showed something worse. The cameras didn't capture the patient leaving. They captured him sitting up in bed, smiling, then standing perfectly still for over 6 minutes before walking calmly out of frame. Administration buried the footage. They called it a documentation error. 2 weeks later, I worked my last night shift. It was quiet, too quiet. At exactly 2 a.m., every call light on the 4th floor turned on at once. Every room, including the West Wing. Linda looked at me, her face pale. "Don't answer them," she said. But one light blinked differently. Room 417. I don't know why, but I stood up. "I'll just reset it," I said. Linda didn't stop me. The West Wing was darker than I remembered. The motion lights didn't activate at all. My flashlight beam shook as I walked. The door to 417 was already open. Inside, the bed was back. Fresh sheets, IV stand, heart monitor, and someone was lying in it. She looked like a patient, until she opened her eyes. They were wrong, too wide, too aware. "You're late," she said. "I don't..." She smiled. "Night shift always comes eventually." The monitor flatlined. Behind me, every call light shut off at once. I quit the next morning. The hospital closed the 4th floor 6 months later. But sometimes, when I can't sleep, I swear I hear a call button clicking and a voice counting my breaths.
Story 2. The gas station that was never empty after midnight. If you've ever worked a night shift at a gas station, you already know one thing. The customers after midnight aren't the same as the ones during the day. I was 24 when I took the graveyard shift job at a gas station off Route 219, deep in the Appalachian region of West Virginia. It was one of those stretches of road where cell service fades out, trees press in close, and the darkness feels heavier than it should. The station was isolated. No nearby towns, no streetlights, just a few flickering lamps, a convenience store, and miles of forest in every direction. The manager told me during training, "Nights are slow. Lock the doors at midnight. Window service only." He hesitated before adding, "And if anyone asks to use the bathroom, don't unlock it." I laughed at the time, thought it was about safety. I was wrong. The first few nights were quiet, too quiet. I spent most of my shift listening to the hum of the refrigerators and watching moths slam themselves against the glass. Then I noticed something strange. Every night, exactly at 12:37 a.m., the automatic door sensor chimed, but the doors were locked and no one was there. At first, I assumed it was a glitch, bugs triggering the sensor, cold air, old wiring, until I saw the reflection.
The glass doors acted like mirrors at night, and one night when the chime rang, I saw movement behind me in the reflection. People standing just outside the doors. When I turned around, there was no one there, but the chime kept ringing. Over the next week, it got worse. Cars began pulling into the lot after midnight. Old cars, rusted trucks, vehicles that looked like they hadn't been driven in years. They'd park crooked, engines off, lights dead. No one ever got out. I told my manager. He didn't look surprised. "They leave by morning, right?" he asked. "Yeah, usually." "Then don't worry about it." One night, around 1:15 a.m., someone knocked on the glass. 3 slow knocks. I looked up and froze. A man stood inches from the door, pale, too pale. His clothes were outdated, like something from the 1980s. His eyes never blinked. "Mouth," he mouthed through the glass. I shook my head and pointed to the sign, "No public restrooms after midnight." His mouth stretched into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Behind him, more people appeared. A woman holding a child, an older man with a gas can. They didn't blink either. The knocking started again, louder, faster. I backed away from the door, heart pounding. Then, suddenly, they were gone. The parking lot was empty. No tire tracks, no headlights disappearing down the road, just silence. That night, I checked the security cameras. At 12:37 a.m., the footage glitched. Every camera froze except one, the pump camera. It showed dozens of people standing just beyond the edge of the light, watching the store, not moving. At 3 a.m., all of them stepped backward at the exact same time and vanished into the trees. Things escalated when one finally came inside. I was restocking shelves when I heard the door chime for real this time. I spun around. The doors were open. A woman stood just inside, dripping wet like she'd been standing in rain. "I need gas," she said. Her voice echoed strangely, like the store was bigger than it was. "You need to leave," I said, grabbing the panic button under the counter. She tilted her head. "We never leave," she said softly. Behind her, the doors closed on their own. The lights flickered, the refrigerator shut off, the store went dead silent. I noticed her feet weren't touching the floor. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember running. I remember waking up on the floor with the doors wide open and the sun just starting to rise. My manager never filed a report. He just handed me my final paycheck and said, "You lasted longer than most." I quit that day. The gas station burned down 6 months later. Locals said it was faulty wiring, but sometimes when I drive through Appalachia at night, I still see the glow of lights where the station used to be, and figures standing just outside the edge of the road, waiting for midnight.
Story 3. The security guard who wasn't alone on camera. I used to believe security cameras didn't lie. If something showed up on the screen, it meant it was there. Simple as that. Cameras don't imagine things. They don't get tired. They don't hallucinate at 3 in the morning. At least, that's what I thought before I worked the night shift as a security guard at the Black Ridge distribution facility. The place sat just outside a dying Appalachian town in eastern Kentucky. It was massive. 3 warehouses, a loading yard, and an administrative building connected by long, windowless corridors. During the day, it was busy. Forklifts, trucks, radios crackling. At night, it felt abandoned. I worked alone, 12-hour shifts, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. My job was simple: monitor the cameras, log patrols every hour, and respond if an alarm triggered. No weapon, just a flashlight, a radio, and a ring of keys I never used because most doors were locked by corporate policy. On my first night, the supervisor told me something strange. "If you see movement on camera 7 after 2 a.m., he said casually, just log it as wildlife." "Inside?" I asked. He smiled without humor, "Especially inside." Camera 7 covered Warehouse C, the oldest building on the property. It had been partially decommissioned after a structural issue, but corporate didn't want to pay for demolition, so it just sat there, empty. I didn't question it. I needed the job. The first week passed without incident, mostly. Camera 7 occasionally flickered. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. I chalked it up to bad wiring and exhaustion. Then came the night everything changed. It was a Thursday, storm rolling in, heavy rain pounding the metal roof. Around 2:13 a.m., I was halfway through my patrol when my radio crackled. Static. Then a voice. Low, distorted. "Copy?" I stopped walking. "Control, this is Night 1. Who's on the line?" Silence. Then breathing. Slow. Rhythmic. I chalked it up to interference and finished my patrol faster than usual. Back in the control room, I checked the cameras. Everything looked normal, except camera 7. Warehouse C was no longer empty. A figure stood near the far wall, tall, unmoving, facing directly toward the camera. I zoomed in. The image pixelated, then cleared. The figure was wearing a security uniform, my uniform. Same patch, same reflective stripes, but the face was wrong. The eyes were too deep, like holes punched into the image. I stumbled back from the desk. "This isn't funny," I said aloud, even though no one was there. I rewound the footage. The figure was gone. The warehouse was empty again. I logged it as a camera malfunction. At 3 a.m., the motion sensor in Warehouse C tripped. That had never happened before. Protocol said I had to investigate. I stood at the door to Warehouse C for a full minute before unlocking it. The smell hit me immediately. Dust, oil, and something old, like stagnant water that hadn't moved in years. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness. Every sound echoed too loudly. Halfway through the warehouse, my radio crackled again. "Behind you." I spun around. Nothing. But when I turned back toward the center of the warehouse, I saw footprints. Fresh, leading deeper inside. They stopped abruptly, right beneath camera 7. I didn't finish the patrol. I went back to the control room and locked the door. At 3:17 a.m., camera 7 came back online. The figure was there again. Closer this time. I watched in horror as it raised its head and smiled. The mouth moved. I turned the volume up. "You missed me," it said. I didn't sleep for 2 days after that shift. I tried to quit, but HR told me I needed 2 weeks' notice or I wouldn't get paid. So I went back. Worst mistake of my life. The second week, the cameras started changing. Camera 3 showed hallways longer than they should be. Camera 5 showed doors that didn't exist. And camera 7 started showing things before they happened. At 1:42 a.m., I saw myself enter Warehouse C on screen. I hadn't moved from my chair. At 1:44 a.m., the version of me on camera stopped walking and looked up, directly at the lens, directly at me. At 2 a.m., my radio turned on by itself. "You're early tonight," I whispered. "I'm not going back. That's not what you said before."
I checked the logs. There were entries in my handwriting. Patrols I never did. Notes I never wrote. One line chilled me more than anything else. Subject is starting to notice. The final night came sooner than expected. At 2:06 a.m., every camera except camera 7 went dark. The screen glowed with a single image, Warehouse C. The figure stood inches from the camera now. I could see every detail of its face. It was me, or something wearing me. The mouth moved again. "We need you out here. The shift doesn't end until you replace me." The control room door clicked, unlocked. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside, slow, deliberate, matching my own stride. I ran. I didn't stop until I hit the highway. I never went back. 2 months later, I heard Warehouse C collapsed during a storm. They found a body inside, wearing a security uniform. The face was too damaged to identify. Camera 7 was never recovered. But sometimes, when I check my phone at night, I swear I see a notification. Motion detected. And for a split second, I see myself on the screen, still on shift, still watching.